Shalom, shalom. How to get into it, man. And I probably won't be out here that long, but it is what it is. Depend on the spirit, you know. Before I get started, give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Takadash. And we at the end. We at the end of this wicked ass society going down. Man. You know, we're about to see all hell break loose here again on the shores of America, man. You know, Esau Edom is already hyping up terror attacks, you know, terror alerts here in America or in Europe. So we're gonna see. And they're talking about possibly this week. You know, here it is, all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, man. We've been telling you that this day or these days are coming. And we're at the end of that, man. There's no other way to put it. Can't sugarcoat it. Can't tell you it's gonna be all right, because it's not gonna be all right. You know, everything that you know is gonna be upside down. So there's gonna be people out here fighting in the streets, you know, neck to neck. We talking about, you know, best friends, brothers, sisters, fighting like complete strangers out here, man, fighting to the death. Best friends, whatever the case may be. And as you can see, it's been turning all the way up in the Middle East. And Iran said they ain't turning down for nothing. Turn down for what? You know, the U.S. and Israel talking about they want a ceasefire, and Iran said, hell no, ain't no ceasefire. We're gonna keep it going. And hey, I just checked the news before I got out the car. They already sent some more rocket salvos, missile salvos over to Israel as I speak, man. And so, hey, the Middle East is getting set on fire, man. And they already talk about, well, been talking about this week about how a draft is out, it's not out of the question. You know, here it is, the apostles of Great Millstone has been telling you for 30, 40 plus years that the United States is going to institute a draft for World War III. And that chick Caroline Levitt just said, hey, you know, we can't take those cards off the table. That the U.S. is, you know, going to initiate a draft sooner or later. And the crazy part about it, men and women will be drafted. It won't be just the men that go out to fight like how it was in Vietnam and World War I and II, you know, where just the men fight. This time, they're going to draft the women. You know, it's going to be a equal opportunity draft, man. You know, you've been fighting for your rights. Well, you about to get drafted. You know, women always complaining about how they want equal pay. They want to get paid the same thing a man getting paid. Well, guess what? You brought it all on yourself, man. Now you about to go stand side by side by a man in a foxhole shooting at the Iranians, the Russians, the Chinese, and whatever else they got in the damn desert in the Middle East, man. You know, you fell right into the trap of the so-called white man. You know, he been telling you, oh, women rights, you know. They had the feminists out there advocating to get you rights. And they about to get your ass drafted right into this World War III. You know? So let's go on, man. Let's get into the scriptures. Because I don't know how long I'm going to be out here. You know, I aim for 45 minutes, but who knows? You know, I still got to hit that plantation in the morning. All right, this is second Esdras 9:1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, verse 2, then shalt thou understand that is the very time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we're in that time where you're about to see the Most High Son get ready to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, and it was just an earthquake, it speaks about earthquakes in diverse places. It was one in North Louisiana, last week sometime, right? Like a 4.3. It says uproars of the people in the world. And if you keep up with the news, you can just tell, man, it's uproars of the people all over the world, man, at different times. You can go back a year, 2 years. You can go this year, man, where it's uproars of the people in the world. So nobody's happy, to put it in layman's terms. It says, verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So he had all this planned out, even from the beginning, before the earth was created, before man was even created, the animals, before the earth was formed, the elements, the atmosphere, all that. Before all that was even thought of. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, so everything has a beginning and an end, except the Most High. He doesn't have a beginning or an end, but everything else with his creation. And the end is made, also like it, and the end is manifest. Yeah, the end is manifest. We're at the end. It's not going to get better, man. The Middle East is on fire. You hear me? And they saying they about to bring that battle to the shores of America. They're saying Iran got these sleeper cells, these terrorist sleeper cells. It's about to get activated. I've been listening to some what you call them, like podcasters, and they saying they getting intel where they saying it could be possibly this week where you can see terrorist attacks going on in the United States. Talking about the power going out, possibly bombings. So the end is manifest because the wicked elite, the Rothschilds, man, they are ready to bring this country down to its knees. They got a digital token. They ready to get you as digital slaves, man. And they need to scare the hell out of you in order to get it done, man. And they work it. They working behind the scenes. The plan is in motion. They want to get rid of the population. They want to get you in digital slavery. And it's all getting ready to come on the horizon, man. Well, matter of fact, it's on the horizon now. Verse 6, even so the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonder, and powerful works, and endings, and effects, and signs. Verse 7, and everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works. So that's why my ass is out here, man. Because the Most High just said the only way you can be able to escape all this is by your works. And I'm constantly putting the work in. Whether I'm doing videos at the house, sit down lessons, or I'm out here on the highways and the byways, man. Just like on the job, you work, you get paid. Don't work, your ass get fired, man. And the same thing with the Most High. You don't work, you don't eat. Hey, even the sirens had to chime on that. You know, even they had to agree with that. Your ass don't work, your ass don't eat, man. And same way with the Lord. So he's like, the way you're gonna be able to get the hell out of this market is if you put this work in, you go on the highways and the byways. And and you just might make it out of it. And I said, all right, I can deal with that. It says, and by faith, whereby ye have believed. So you got to do the work and have faith. And says, where be ye have believed. And I believe everything that I'm talking about, man. All the knowledge that was given to me, I believe every single word of it. And I got the faith that, hey, the Most High, he gonna come through. Like he said, he's gonna come through, man. I seen him work last night. you know, I seen him do a miracle last night. Just to remind me that, hey, I'm still in charge, and you still got a job to do. So I said, you know what? I got to make sure that I come out here tonight. The Most High did me a solid, so I got to come out here and do the work, man. So that's why you see me out here on a Tuesday. I'm normally on a Friday, you know. But hey, the Spirit can hit you at any time, man. I don't have a set date to bring the word out, but I try to stick to Friday, man. Make a build a routine. So the Lord did me a solid last night, so I'm gonna come out here and do him a solid, you know. So you gotta have all three of these, man. And I have all three. So that qualifies me to get the hell out of here and escape all the hell that's getting ready to be unleashed, man. I'm in the qualifying pool, like they say. Verse 8 shall be preserved from the said perils. So yeah, the famine, martial law, World War III, the terrorist attacks, the plagues. Says shall be preserved from the said perils. Oh, don't forget about the famine. Oh, the famine is starting up. It says, and shall see my salvation in my land. And what's the Most High's land? Israel. And within my borders, where I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. And that's the elect. The Most High has a certain amount of people that he's going to get out of this hell that's coming, man. That's going to be A-OK. Out of the people on this sign, these so-called Negroes and King of the Native Americans, man. He has a group, the 1/3, known as the elect of the nation of Israel. You're going to make it out of here. But the rest of you that's on this sign that don't qualify, you're not going to make it out of here, man. You are not going to be delivered, man. Matter of fact, you're going to die here in America. It's not going to be how we left Egypt, where it's one big happy party. And yeah, for you Egyptology people, yeah, we was in Egypt, but we were slaves in Egypt, man. We was working, we was under oppression, and when the Most High delivered us through Moses, we all left, one big happy family. But this time, everybody ain't getting on this ride, man. Now it's fast forward. Now we're in spiritual Egypt. And everybody don't qualify to get on the spaceship, man. And just to let you know what it is, the so-called UFOs, you don't qualify, man. If you ain't putting the work in, you don't believe, you don't have the faith, that's a wrap. It says so the Most High has sanctified a group of people, the prophets and the elect from the beginning. You know, the prophets have been sanctified, man. And you'll see a real prophet out on the streets, on the highways and the byways, man, telling you that, hey, it's over. You know, a true prophet's gonna give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, not like these Christian prophets, where they just have nothing but good news for you, man. You know, they don't tell you, they don't give you any kind of bad news, like they say. Verse 9, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways. So yeah, you're gonna be in a pitiful case, Jake. You abuse the ways of the Most High, or Yahweh Shem Yahweh. It says, and that they have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Yeah, you so-called Negro Latinos or Native Americans, man, you don't even believe in keeping the laws anymore, man. You know, you despise the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, man, the ordinances. You know, it totally disgusts you, man, knowing you have to keep the laws. And you just throw them behind you and say, you know what, we're gonna do whatever we want to do. We're gonna remix it. You know, we're gonna pretend to keep the laws. You know, they pick and choose what laws they want to do, and then they don't even get those right. So you just out here doing whatever the hell you want to do, and the Most High has a problem with that. You know, that's not in the agreement, man. You didn't agree to do whatever the hell you want to do. You agreed to keep His laws. You know, it was laid out for you, and you said, "Fuck all that." And we want to do what the heathen do, man. We want to eat what they want to eat. We want to live how they want to live. And it says, matter of fact, let's read that again. Second Esdras 9 and verse 9. Then shall they be in pitiful case. But yeah, you're gonna be starving to death. You're gonna be in a very pitiful case, man. You know, you're gonna have to shoot it out with somebody in the streets. Once the lights goes out, martial law declared. You know, it's gonna be like Mad Max. Forget 2.0. We're talking like 4.0, man. It's gonna be like Mad Max 4.0 here in America, man. It's gonna be every man for himself. You know? You know, it's gonna be no mercy here, man. It's gonna be survival of the fittest. You know? It says, verse 10, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. Yeah, you received benefits and not known the Lord. You've been taught about Jesus your whole life. You know? You've been taught the ways of Jesus. And you've been taught wrong your whole life, man. You know? Jesus say you can do whatever the hell you want to do, man. Just say, Lord, forgive me. You know, there's no accountability with Jesus, man. He let you do whatever, screw whoever, and fuck whoever over, man. All you gotta say, Lord, please forgive me. You know, so you haven't been taught the real power of the Bible, man. You know, you just can't keep saying, Lord, forgive me, and you keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over with this power, man. You know, he about putting you to death, man. You know, you can't eat whatever you want to eat with this power, man. And you're gonna find out the hard way. Like to say, what's his name? Say fleece. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. And our people love it the hard way. They love doing things the hard way. And the most how about Shimmy Shah, don't mind putting you to death either. He don't mind killing you either, man. You know? That's why I stay my ass out here, man. I run my ass out here to the block ASAP, man. Because knowing the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. You're supposed to be persuaded when you hear me talking about how the Lord's gonna kill you, man. You're supposed to be like, oh shit, what can I do to get right? What can I do to gain his good graces? Nah, I just go through one ear and not the other, man. I didn't need much convincing. I got to a point where I was dragging my feet. But once I heard the Lord's gonna kill me, I was like, oh shit, it's time to get up and go. you know, that was the straw that broke the camel back. It was time to get up and get to the block. Because I was on the side cheerleading for a while, man. Seeing men like myself out on the highways and the byways, preaching, doing the same thing I'm doing. I'll be cheering in the comment section, typing. But then that one message I got one day from one used to be a brother, you know, he fell out the truth, you know, but he did a video. And he was like, you watching these videos, you ain't doing the work. The Lord's gonna kill you, and that's all I need to hear. That was it. And then he drilled. They said he had drilled the point home. He said the second time, and I said, "Yup, he talking to me." And the rest was history, man. I was done cheerleading, man. I was done sitting my ass on the couch cheerleading, man. I was like, I got to get out there, man. And lo and behold, man, I'm still out here. 8 years, going on 8 years, man. Let's go on verse 10. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law. Yeah, you so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans loathe the law. Just the simplest of the law. You ought to see a nigga face frown up when you tell him he can't have a piece of pork, man. He got to stop eating shrimp po' boys and eating fucking crabs and shit. You ought to just see the demon on his face just frown, turning all different shapes. His whole face is just fucking be disfigured, man, frowned up. And when they done with that, they'll say, well, I've been eating pork all my life. It ain't nothing happened to me. But yet, you got fucking 20, 30 prescriptions on your damn counter at the house in the bathroom, man. Your damn pressure up all the time. Your cholesterol through the roof. You know? That's what these people say. You know, eating down all that shellfish, and you wonder why you got gout all the fucking time. You know, so they got all kind of excuse for their wickedness. You know, Jake could do anything to stay wicked, man. He got a million and one excuses to where he don't have to follow the law. You know, and believe me, I heard them all. I heard all the excuses. I heard them all. You know, it's the same excuse, just worded different. You know, and I've seen people come up here foaming at the mouth. I say, hey man, you know you're an Israelite, right? What? What you mean I'm an Israelite? Just fucking demons on them, man. Pure demons. You know, because it hits that soul, man. It, you know you're supposed to be keeping the law. Man, these scriptures, the Bible is like fucking sunlight to a vampire, man. You know, these scriptures is like, you know, like holy water on a damn vampire. Start reading that nigga the law, he start running up the street, man, catching on fire and shit. You know? Verse 10, for as such in their life have received benefits and have not known me. Verse 11, and they have loathed my law while they had yet liberty. So yeah, you got liberty. You don't have free will. You know, you had liberty to get this knowledge, this wisdom, and this understanding, but you chose not to. You know, you chose not to look up what I'm saying on your own time, do your own research. You know, don't take my word for it. You know, you got to go back and verify and see what I'm saying is true. You got to do your research. You know, you can't come up here with your rebuttal saying, no, that ain't true. You gotta do better than that, man. You gotta put this work in, you gotta do some research. You gotta bring me some scriptures, something. You just can't say, that ain't right. That ain't good enough, man. It says, or you know, or what I feel. You know, I heard that so many times. You know, what I feel like, or what I think, you know, and that's why you fucked up now. Because you feel too much and you ain't good at thinking either. You know? You know, these people on this sun, man, you know, the scriptures speak about how they hard headed, stiff necked, stiff hearted. You know, you gotta do some critical thinking, man. Now you gotta put your emotions aside and think for a second. You know, you can't be quick to wrath every damn time, man. You got to slow it down and think. You know, take it all in. Count the costs, what they say, man. You gotta count the costs. You know, you gotta know how to respond too, man. You know, there's a time to act a fool, and there's a time not to, man. You know, and you get all that once you come into this truth, man. You're gonna know how to deal with people for sure. You know when to act a fool, turn up, and you know, hey, let's say, what is a soft voice turns away wrath, roughly paraphrasing. You know, but you won't get all that knowledge until you get into this truth. You know, you got to know how to will and deal, and the Spirit gonna teach you that how to will and deal. It says, and when as yet place of repentance was upon was so like it, as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. Yeah, and they still despise it to this day. You know, here I am saying, hey, how about Shimmy Shah saying, hey, he can he can forget all the BS that you've done, Jake. You know, he willing to put it all aside, man. You know, he willing to start over, baby. You know, like it ain't never happened before. But our people, man, they don't care, man. They said they despise it. You know, they'll tell you, I ain't doing nothing wrong. What I'm doing wrong. Everybody else doing what I'm doing. You know, like I said, Jake got all kind of excuses not to turn to the Most High or to do this work or repent, man. And the thing is, when you repent, you're supposed to go and sin no more, man. You don't repent, and then the more you back eating pork chops, and then you order that pork chop dinner, and you say, "Oh Lord, forgive me," and then come Thursday, you order another damn pork chop dinner, man. It don't work that way, you know. Or you got a damn shrimp po' boy. As long as my damn arm, you know, you got the surf and turf. You know, you got the oysters hanging off of it. You know, there's so many oysters hanging off that bitch and fell inside the plate. You know, or you got the hot sauce one and you got the damn grease all down your elbow, man. And you talking about, oh Lord, please forgive me. And then you got to order in for one Monday coming up, man. You can't wait to go back and get another one. So it don't work that way. You know, so our people are not gonna ever get it right, man. At least on this side. They're gonna get it right one day, but it won't be over here. Because the last thing these people want to do is give up that damn pork. It ain't gonna happen. You know? They'll let you cut a finger off before they give up some damn pork, man. Verse 12, the same must know it after death by pain. And that's when a nigga gonna realize he done fucked up when his ass die, man. When his ass go back to the spirit world, right before the Most High, right then he knew he fucked up. See? You know, they had to get a chime on that. You know, you right then you knew you done fucked up. Verse 13, and therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, because you know, even myself, you know, I can't wait for the Most High make a move on some of these people. You know, I'm like, damn, how the Most High gonna take him out, or take her out? You know, this wicked MF. But let's read what the Lord say about that. It says, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, who the world is, and for whom the world is created. So yeah, the righteous. You know, this world was created for the righteous, really, and it said it was created for the righteous. Now, starting with the elect, but eventually, all of Israel is going to get it. But it's all about the elect right now. It's all about the 1/3 of the nation of Israel here in America. You know, when it comes to that 1/3 and the 2/3 spoken about in Zechariah, but eventually, well, the elect is all over the earth, man. And you know, and eventually, you know, we all gonna be caught up together, man. You know, and when that happens, you know, it's lights out for America, man. You know, the party would be officially over. You know, the fat lady would have song body, like they say. You know, so all the elect from all the four corners of the earth, no matter where you are, if you're an elect, this world was created for you, man. So yeah, don't be curious on how the ungodly shall be punished. Yeah, because for the most part, we already know, man. We just don't know every little detail. Like I don't know how the Lord's gonna kill Tyrone up the street. Whether he gonna have him choke on a fish bone or choke to death on a damn chicken bone. Who knows? Who knows? You're gonna have Pookie blow his brains out. So the Lord said, don't be concerned about that. Just be concerned about how the hell you gonna make it out of here, man. How the righteous is gonna make it out of here. And to be honest, that's all I'm worried about. I know a lot of y'all is already dead meat, so why am I wasting my time? Worrying about you, which I don't worry now. Let's get that straight. I don't worry, but I'm just saying. I say be concerned about that. I'm not concerned about what happened to y'all. So let's go on a little bit more. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 6. Because hey man, like I said before, this is it, man. It's about to be a curtain call. And as soon as this World War III is officially declared, it's gonna be real, real nice out here, man. Hey, there he is. You got the skeleton right there. That's all that's coming, death, man. That's all that's coming is death. And you got the man with the skeleton right there to back it up. Man, if that ain't the spirit, you know? Damn. It is 2nd Ezra 6:1. And he said unto me in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid. Verse 3, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, the sun, the moon, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or even the chimneys in Zion were hot. Verse 5, and here the present years were sought out, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed, that have gathered faith for a treasure. So yeah, before they were sealed, the elect that have gathered faith for a treasure. So the elect always had faith, man. I believe it's the scripture say where the elect was given faith. So it was already embedded in the elect from the beginning. Verse 6, Then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone. So the Most High boasting right now. He said, before all this was even created, before anything was thought of, he did all this by himself, man. You know, he's starting to toot his own horn, man. He's letting you know that he the one did all this. He the one put all this together. It says, and through none other, by me also, they shall be ended, and by none other. So he's like, all this that got started and created, is all going to end by him, man. Nobody else. So they can get on there, especially Esau. He like to get on there, talk about his nukes, how he can destroy the world 5-6 times over. You can't destroy the world, man. You didn't create it. Most High didn't give you that type of power, to destroy the earth. Matter of fact, the scriptures speak about how the earth abideth forever. So the earth is going to be here forever, man. You can't destroy it. I don't give a damn how many nukes get detonated. And believe me, it's a lot of them that's going to be detonated, and it's still not going to destroy the earth. Verse 7, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting sunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So now we're starting to get into Jacob and Esau, man. And this is Esdras asking, how are we going to know when it's the end time? Verse 8, and he said unto me, for Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, symbolizing that Jacob was going to take Esau down at the end. And we're witnessing that right now. Esau is being pulled down, man, in order for Jacob to come up. This World War III, to be exact, is going to knock Esau out of power, man. And Yahushua, who is a Jake, who comes out of the 12 tribes, he's going to be that main power to bring Esau down, man. He's the one to do it. People like myself that you see on the highways and byways, we don't have no power. We can't take this man out of power. He has all kind of militaries, weapons. So there's only one person for the job, man. And that leaves Yahushua, man. He's going to come and knock this man out of power and pull him down by his ankles, man. Pull him. As a matter of fact, we're going to get it again where it says, going to pull him by the heel. It says, verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Yeah, because Esau came out, which is the older, technically our brother, but he broke the brotherly covenant, so we no longer brothers, man. So you had a so-called Negro baby pulling Esau down, man, by his heel, letting them know it's a rep. That you're gonna be taken down. Verse 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the end of the world, man. And we're at the end of his world. And so when one power goes down, another one has to replace it. And that's going to be the Israelites, man. We got next. It's not China. It's not Russia. It's not India. The Israelites are coming up next. These so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. We're getting ready to take our rightful place as the rulers of the earth, man. Because hey, the West is done. You got replacement migration going on. You got exploding deficits. You don't know if the men want to be women, the women want to be men. You know, 40 some $1 trillion in debt. It's over. It's over, man. This whole American experiment is over, man. No candidate that you elect can turn this place around, man. You know, and it lives and thrives off wickedness, man. You got women over you telling you what to do. You got just hordes and hordes of single mothers running rampant, sleeping with any and everybody. Adultery at an all-time high. You got a perverse spirit in Babylon right now, man. You got a whole, let's say they call them the deep state, the globalists, whatever the case you want to call them. You got the elite, they call themselves a bunch of PDF files, man. Satanic, blood drinking PDF files that runs the world. So you mean to tell me you think they just gonna keep running the world forever? They never gonna have to answer for the bullshit they've been doing, and especially to the people in this sun. You think the Most High just gonna let wickedness go on forever and not get answered? Shit, you shitting me. The wicked is about to go down, man. Wickedness has ran its course also, man. This ain't just how it's gonna be, man. You can't even trust anybody these days, man. I'm always looking for the scam. You try to do business with somebody, you just know you gonna get screwed, you know? So you try not to do business with too many people. And even people who, you try to get something done to your house, whatever. You People are just so fucking crooked and just a bunch of scumbags. So you can't trust anybody, man. A bunch of lying pieces of shit, man. The word ain't nothing. How it used to be, oh, word is bond. That shit, that's going out the window, man. Motherfucker lie to you and won't even think twice about it. And then the crazy part about it, they'll lie and don't even have to lie. Just because they can, man. So this ain't going on too much longer, man. And nobody's standing for righteousness but the prophets, man. The elect. Ain't nobody else out here on the highways and byways screaming for righteousness. No, people out here talking about they want another candidate, man. They want Gavin Newsom. They looking for some Republican or Democrat to save them, man. And you so-called Negro Latinos or Native Americans that got caught up in that bullshit too. This two-party crap, man. It's just one party, man. It's a unit party, man. And the ones at the bottom fight amongst each other, and the ones at the top, they all just loving and kissing each other, man, and laughing all the way to the bank. You know? And you talking about I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and they on the fucking golf course with each other, man. Molesting and raping kids, man. And they give you the football issues, man, about the 10 Commandments or voter rights. This shit's rigged, man. It don't matter what kind of voter rights and voter ID you show up the damn booth, man. It's all rigged. you know? It's just a uni party, man. The major players on the left and the right, they love each other, man. But you everyday Republican and Democrat are ready to kill each other, kill each other over nothing, man. And so they got you right where they want you to be, man. They got your ass divided, and they running out the back door with the money, you know? And be mad at the niggas, man. They got crime. Yeah, put that on the TV. You know, put them on TV talking about they got all the welfare. You know, they put and they got you people fucking coming in going, man. All the whole time they all working together, the media and the politicians, man. They keep you distracted or they pockets getting fat. They'll put somebody on TV like they having a hearing or something. Like, oh, this governor, senator, whoever the case may be, stealing money, this and that. And they had these scripted hearings, and nothing ever happens to them, man. Nothing. We're gonna do investigation, and they go about their merry lives, still, still stealing. You think the stealing stop? Hell no. But you worrying about Keisha and Consuela, man, on fucking Section 8 and food stamps. But the whole time they stealing billions of dollars, man. You know, they spent what stole like $1 trillion, like a trillion or two or something. The whole Afghanistan or Iraq war, it was like almost $1 trillion unaccounted for. But yeah, you worrying about fucking Keisha, man. So they got you people right where they need you, man. Fighting each other, arguing, and dumb as hell. So now they just ready to implode the economy now. They ready to move on to a new phase. They got you dumbed down. You all, tied up in being a damn YouTube celebrity. You want to be the next TikTok star. But the whole time they just sit back and laugh, man. But look at these dumb people, man. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers sit back and laugh. But let's go on. It's taken after 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that followeth. Verse 10, the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Edris, asked thou not. So yeah, man. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Where it's gonna be a kingdom, a world, the whole world gonna be operating on righteousness, man. Because as you see, wickedness don't work. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And as you see, people are mourning, man. You got how can you have at one time was the world wealthiest nations, and you got homeless people, man. Or you got people struggling to pay bills, man. You know, the infrastructure is shitty. You know, all that was, you know, the infrastructure is shitty. People can't make it, but they'll tell you, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, man. But the whole time they giving money to each other and friends and family, man. You know, like, oh, we can't give you this for free. You know, it's communism. But they don't mind stealing $200-300 billion though, man. You know how much money that the American government blew? They could have just paid people mortgages off for them, man. You know, but you bought the whole communism bullshit though. You know, they had to scare you. Oh, what are you, a communist? You know, you have to work for what you need. You know, for what you want. And these are the people who are doing all the stealing, telling you you got to work to get where you need to be, man. You know, that's not the American way. You know. So hey, man, it's over, bro. It is over. You know, MAGA is officially dead. They kicked Tucker Carlson out, man. Trump kicked Tucker out. He said he's no longer MAGA, man. You know, there's no turning this place around, man. You can't vote your way out of this. You know, I see people in the comment section talking about, you know, we gotta elect Massey. We gotta get Massey in there. What the fuck is Massey gonna do, man? Not a fucking thing, man. You know, they uh, who they said Massey and who they want to run with him, was it MTG or Rand Paul? Somebody. What the fuck can they do, man? Nothing. But you people still gonna get in line and go vote, man. Still gonna go down and vote. That's one thing about the American people, man. They love being con. You know, they love being duped. You know, so that's why the Lord got to come and put an end to this shit because you know this could go on forever, man. If the Lord would let it, you know, you still be running back and forth, Republican. Get mad at Republicans. Oh, I'm a Democrat. Get mad at the Democrats. You run back to Republicans. You know, this shit is madness. Like I said, you can't keep doing the same damn thing over and over and expecting a different outcome, man. You know, hey, as far as the hopeful elect, man, we waiting on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah to come get us, man, to get the hell out of here, because we done with this bullshit. We see through the lies, the treachery, and deceit that Esau Edom pushes, man, and we waiting on the kingdom of righteousness, man. But I'm ending on that. Before I get out of here, man, give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kavadash. Salam. Almost an hour.